I'm a bit of a lonely wolf when it comes to photography. I'm not really into joint projects or workshops or photo walks. But there are of course exceptions. A good friend of mine, Kari Paukola, called me a few weeks ago and asked if I could make some time for a 2-day road trip to take some photos. Now Kari is an old friend of mine. We used to play music together back in the days. And then we didn't have really any contacts for 25 years. But then he got into photography and later did I, and now I guess we are buddies. I put a link down below to the description to Kari's work so you can see what kind of pictures he takes. He's a bit of a perfectionist, I think, and that is so cool. It's really interesting to follow his work. So then last Wednesday, Kari picked me up and we drove to this little coastal town here in Finland called Pori. Me and Kari, we are about the same age, and we got similar situation in life. Our kids are about the same age and so forth. So there's a lot to talk about, and jokes. Well, those jokes, honestly, they are mostly from the sitcoms that aired some 30 years ago. So that's a bit sad and shows our age. I put a link down to the description so you can see what I'm talking about and feel a little bit sorry for us maybe. But we laughed so hard that it was sometimes difficult to take pictures. We talk a lot about photography. We talk about how we compose our pictures, how we deal with light, how we try to create our own signature look. And we also talked about gear. But not that much. Kari is in the deep end of digital photography and I'm an old fart, so there wasn't really so much to compare. And then something amazing happened. During the first day we had a late lunch and we went to this little restaurant. And we were talking about, what would be the right place here to go to photograph and all that. And then Kari saw this guy sitting the next table. He was wearing overalls and all that, some kind of a construction worker, looked pretty much like somebody who lives around that area. And Kari asked him, where would you go and take photographs? And this guy looks at us and says I don't know anything about that, but I know this famous photographer. His name is Markus Saiha, and I can give you his phone number, and this is the address where he has his office. And then we drove down to meet this guy. We don't know him or anything. Kari knocked at his door. The guy opens the door and we say, hi, we are two photographers from elsewhere. Where would you go and take photos here? No introduction or anything. And then Kari said that I think I own all your books and you are my all-time hero. So I guess that kind of melted the ice. I put a link down to the description where you can find Markus Saiha's work. Now Markus said, come on in guys, and he showed us some of his amazing work, and we talk about photography and we talk about life for the longest time, and then he suggested us a few spots where to go. Seriously, what a cool dude and what a cool coincidence. These kind of things happen when you go out and you talk to people. And then we went to some of those locations that Markus suggested. Now, here's a short video clip about one of those locations so you can get a feeling. Then we spent the entire afternoon, evening, all the way till the sunset on those cliffs, and we photographed the sea and the rocks and the cliffs and the trees. Then we drove to the hotel, slept a few hours and woke up early in the morning before the sunrise to catch the delicate morning light. I had my Hasselblads with me and I was taking pictures on Ilford FP4 Plus film. What a cool combination this is. outstanding lenses and cameras, and the film that has a very nice small grain, but obviously a film look. Often when you go too smooth, like Pan F, for my liking, you lose some of the filmness. That's why I like FP4 Plus now so much. Also, what keeps on amazing me is how well this Biogon lens on my Hasselblads super wide can handle direct sunlight. Now that is clearly one of those places where film still is much better than digital, and that is when your picture burns through. That happens so beautifully with film and a good lens, and it's much nicer than any digital that I have ever seen. It is also very interesting to photograph sunsets and sunrises with black and white film, because then you can't just fall back to this obvious nice color story, but you need to really find something else. You need to find the shades and the nuances and all that. And as I told you earlier, black and white is really what makes me excited. Now let's then take a look at some of the pictures I took first during that afternoon and evening, and then the next day. Then next day we drove back and I developed my films. Now this time I developed them in microfilm. I've been trying to find some new developers. I used to develop a lot with Xtol, but Kodak messed up one batch of Xtol and I bought a lot of that batch and now I cannot use it. And first Kodak told that, and gave us an email address and asked us to contact them so that they can send us a replacement product. But I never heard back from them, and I don't think anybody else had heard back from them. So that's how I rebel. I then choose something else. I won't do Kodak anymore until they do it right for me. So even after this kind of a gorgeous, absolutely beautiful trip, I'm still this bitter old man.